Good evening, race fans, and welcome to virtual upstate New York here at Watkins Glen International Raceway. It's going to be a beautiful night to go racing here in these touring cars. A series that I really don't know that much about. That's why I brought some friends along with me here, starting out with Peter Lee. Peter, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Chris, and really glad you invited me into the booth with you, but I don't know anything about this series either.
You were supposed to do all the research. Oh, man. Should have told you about that. Also, running the cameras, running the show like he always does. Pim the Stud. How are you tonight, Pim?
I'm doing fine, thanks very much. I think I had a little bit too much coffee, so if you're going to notice that on the stream, then I'm sorry for that. But I'm very excited for this race. New Watkins Glen. I haven't seen it yet, and it looks very colorful.
Yeah, same. First time seeing the track, first time really seeing these cars, so we're going to have some fun with it. Just some quick notes here on the series as they finish their open qualifying session here, I do believe, if you want to bring up the grid there as soon as it populates, but they basically have a 50% fuel limit on the cars. From what I understand, it's supposed to drive one pit stop for this 1 hour long timed race. We've got some pretty good track temperatures and weather, just under 100 degrees Fahrenheit there for the track, so pretty warm but not too bad. And yeah, that should be the big things here. Going to start with a pretty green track, and then the last one is just watch out for those incident points. We were talking before the broadcast that the track limits are a little bit different with this new update here. So every 13 incident points, you can count on the drivers getting some penalties. Let's see if they've figured out where the limits of this track actually are.
It's really, I think, going to be an exciting race because it's a newly rescanned Watkins Glen. I did a few reconnaissance laps in the GT3 car earlier today, and it's just wonderful, just really beautiful. And then, these touring cars are pretty interesting and pretty exciting and new. There's the Hyundai Elantra NTC, the Honda Civic Type R, and the Audi RS3 LMS. And we'll see all three cars out on the track today.
So guys, for me that's a relatively new car. How's that for you? Have you driven this already?
I mean, I have not. I owned the Audi, and I must have driven it once or twice, but for the life of me, I can't really remember it. I will say, watching these guys run some laps during practice and qualifying, they look pretty sporty and look pretty fun. I think that should lead to some really close racing.
Yeah, I haven't driven any front drive car at speed in iRacing, and I understand it's a little bit of a different technique in order to get the car to turn in and to manage turning and accelerating, powering through with the front drive. It'll be fun to see these guys. This is a great track to try to do it.
Yeah, this is easily my favorite track from my neck of the woods. Oh yeah, we're getting ready to go here. This will be a rolling start, I believe.
I think so as well. We can have a quick look how the qualification went. Chris, can you start on the number one?
Slugnificant has pole position.
Amazing
Yeah,
name.
I believe that's her real name. Yeah, I'd like to see the birth certificate for.
All
for
right,
that
and
one.
we have Sverdovic on the second position, and then number 3, John Lawson from Canada. Nice to see him. I see more flags coming up. Number 6, Sam Devontier. How would you pronounce his name?
Looks good.
Looks good. Nothing. We do nothing on that one. Number 11, Alex Penn, Andrew Little. Let's have a quick look if we can see some more drivers, because we did have a big pack going on. Nice to see always such big enthusiasm for it. Here we see the second page on the 24th position, Matt Zepka. And on the 18th position, Ray Bartnikowski. Great to see him driving around. Looks a little bit like we're following him everywhere. And then we see here even in number 32, Jeremy Bowman. And that's basically our whole track. So 32 drivers. Big things.
Hey Pim, we're seeing
Yeah.
a message that the stream is black at the moment, and so we may have a technical issue.
Uh-oh. Well, this will be the
fine.
Watkins Glen podcast.
Yeah, and they should no. They should definitely go to the YouTube. I've heard that Twitch is sometimes a little bit late, so maybe.
So
that's
if
the
you are on
case.
Twitch trying to watch this and seeing black, switch to the Cavalcade Racing Network on YouTube, and you should be fine.
All right. The
All
lights
right.
are going off.
Yeah. This is fun. I like the rolling starts. Looks like they're going to scrub the tires a little bit. Slugnificent is leading the pack down into turn one. And this was a big one that you had mentioned, right, Peter, in your practice laps. Turn one, you used to be able to run off to the left there, to the left of where the pace car is. But I guess that's not the case anymore.
That's right. I was doing that as I normally do, but if you do get four wheels onto that tarmac after that red and yellow curb, you'll get a 1x penalty, and so that will add up for these drivers. That's been a favorite for, I think, all drivers on the sim here at Watkins Glen. Big adjustment.
Yeah, it might slow them down a little bit because that corner exit off of turn one really dictates a lot of your lap time, because you can see as they're working their way up the S's now. And again, I almost hesitate because I'm not sure what it is like in these cars, but in most other cars, it's not full out up the S's and down this long straightaway that they've just entered, but it's pretty dang close. So getting a good corner exit off of one so that you can start accelerating and be at max speed down here is going to go a long way.
Yeah, and I think for these cars, getting that exit is so important because these aren't the most powerful cars, and so you just need to get a good run. And then you see right there, we bypass in this classic boot layout that bus stop chicane, and just go straight, screaming up the hill. And right where you see the tarmac changing color, there is a pretty severe bump right at the braking zone for this right-hander. And so I found, at least in a GT3 car, that it really unsettled the car if you time the braking a little bit off there. So something to watch out for as these cars come up the hill.
Yeah, it should be fun. Usually people like to skip the bus stop, but with that being the case, I'm sure they wish that wasn't so. Back that braking zone up just a little bit.
As they come down the hill on this left, this is a place where almost every car I've ever driven here understeers badly, and I could imagine in these front drivers, this is going to be super challenging.
No, that's a really good point, because you're going downhill, and it's like you're going downhill with that left-hand turn. The car's going to naturally push as it is, and like you just said, the front-wheel drive, man, that'll be fun.
Yeah. For all these the new cars on track, it's wonderful to see a lot of custom paint jobs already. So people have really embraced these new cars. They seem to be a real hit on the service.
Yeah, if people are watching who are not familiar with all this, the two cars, I guess the Honda and the Hyundai, are both new to the service from the last update. So looks like some people were busy in the paint booth.
One thing we're not seeing in this pace lap is a lot of weaving back and forth. Oftentimes you see that with people trying to warm up their tires. And it appears not to be a concern for these touring car drivers.
Well, the track is looking great so far with these new updates, so I gotta say, pretty big fan at the moment. This is, they've now exited the boot, and this will be the lead up to the last two turns here. This is also pretty flowing. You can take this left-hander, turn number 10, a little bit quicker than you might think, and that'll set you up for the final turn, a right-hander to turn 11, which is also where the pit road entry is.
Yeah, and that can be a little bit dangerous. These drivers will have to pit at least once for fuel, and any miscommunication between the driver slowing down to enter the pit and the driver behind, that can result in nose-to-tail contact. And here they go.
We are green flag racing now. Pace car got off nice and clean, and we will dive it down into turn 1.
Looks like Slugnificent really got a great jump on that start. He's already approaching a 1 second lead over the rest of the pack.
Yeah, really happy to pull away. We can see some good side-by-side racing down here throughout the field, almost touching there. This is Francois Schink here in the 8th position. And this is going to be really interesting as they go side-by-side battling down into this hard braking zone with the bump.
Looks like that's been
Looks
nice.
like they're going to make it cleanly.
Yeah. One thing we're going to watch for, Chris and Tim, is to see if there's much of a draft effect going up that hill. And that'll be strategically important if that's true in these cars.
Oh. Francois having some fun. They're going to go 3 wide as into the toe. Oh, nope. Looks like he's going to back out. I believe that's Jacob Wally backing out.
So now we have
Oh, man, they are just...
Yep.
Looks like one thing I'm learning about these cars so far is that they're not afraid to do a little rubbins racing, which I can appreciate.
Yeah, they're looking pretty stable when they bump doors like that.
Yep.
That's always a popular characteristic of cars on the in the virtual racing service.
Some people like them better than others, but I know I'm a fan, so...
Well, we're completing a second lap with really no serious incidents, and that is fantastic.
Corey Fluke had a little bit of a get up, got loose going into that final corner, ended up turning it around, but luckily, mercifully, I can't talk. Nobody else was caught up in there, so he'll be able to get turned around and continue on the race.
We are starting to see some packs form. I'm seeing a battle for P13. Randall Ruggles has it, but being hotly pursued by, and now passed by Jonathan Stroll for P13. Richard Tam, Ray Bartnikowski, really in hot pursuit.
Yes.
But it looks like a beautiful, beautiful spring day in upstate New York.
I would assume, yeah, May, something like that. Yeah, Jacob Wally, they're still leading this great pack racing for that 8th position, and you can see a couple drivers there behind them trading barbs.
Yeah, and Alex Penn and Andrew Little really going at it, and then they're trying to catch up to the next pack. With, who is it? Joseph Etzel.
Yeah, turn 1 is very difficult. You know, we talked about elevation changes. It's a downhill braking zone turn to the left. So Ray, our very own Ray Bartnikowski, is looking real sporty here, right on Randall Ruggles' bumper, seeing if he can make a pass. Here we go, Peter. Let's see how effective this draft is. Although Ray doesn't appear to be trying to take advantage of that. Maybe it's just so he can see, but he's got company as well.
Interesting. It did not look. Someone has gone wide there. It didn't like there was a huge draft effect. I think that was Volkswagen that went wide there after the carousel.
I am getting word. Oh, wow. No. Well, it may have been him, but Volkswagen may have gotten into Francois Schink.
Ah.
I don't know if that was... No, that was not Volkswagen. It was somebody else. But, yeah, Francois, a little worse for the wear. Got hooked pretty good.
So we're in for a 1 hour time race, as you were saying, and it does mean that these drivers can and should exercise some patience. And it's there's also pit strategies. They're going to have to pit, and so undercuts, overcuts will come into play. It'll be super interesting to see how this plays out. We're only 6 minutes into this race.
Yeah, we were under the understanding it's one stop, but we don't know exactly what that fuel window then becomes. And I want to focus a little bit here on one of the guys who introduced and I guess invited us along to stream the race today, Matt Shepka, currently up 2 spots in that P22, driving a really fancy car, speaking of awesome paint jobs. And he's been slowly closing the gap there on Blondel.
Yeah, that's a little trio with Eric Statzer in P20, and then being pursued by August Blondel and Matt Shepka.
Ooh, you can see his car getting just a little bit squirrely there, just what we were talking about in that braking zone. That's going to let Eric and August get just a bit of a jump. We'll see if he can't work that way back.
There is an epic battle for P10 also, currently held by Jonathan Strahl, but Richard Tam, Andrew Little, Ray Bartnikowski, they're just...
Yeah, look at Ray and Andrew going door to door into the heel. Making it look easy right now.
Yeah. Boy, it looked like these cars turn pretty well. The thing that you're always having to do a lot of tuning on with a front drive car, is getting the car to not understeer too badly, because, you're really stressing the front tires, providing drive and steering. But at least on track, these cars are looking pretty nice.
They got a nice flow to it. And of course, Watkins Glen is a great course for that. It's a very fast and flowy track. But yeah, so not all these corners are sweeping.
Back up front.
And if we wanted, I was just gonna say second place. Is that what you're looking at?
Yeah.
A battle for P2.
And Slugnificent in P1 has got to be just loving that these guys are battling with each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's Wojciech Swiridovich. We spent a little bit of time before the broadcast trying to practice that name, so hopefully we're not mangling it too much. But also involving Logan McKenzie, who is now taken over P2, and Sam Devantier.
Yeah, Sam's backed off a lot. What I do like about this is there's enough braking zones here that you can make some real brave moves and back it up a little bit. Either brave moves going into the braking zone, or I guess better, or more importantly, backing up the corner a little bit and trying to get a better run off for these really long straightaways.
And not only are they losing touch with Slugnificent, but they're allowing the next 3 drivers, Jerome Rajules, John Lauzon, and Joseph Etzel, to catch up. So I think that's about to become a group of 6 cars.
Yep. It is looking good for them. They seem to be gaining on almost every single sector.
Yeah.
Oh, that might be a winner. Well, I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed with the amount of packs that are still formed overall this far into the race.
Yeah. And it's looking like the balance of performance is pretty solid, at least on this track, across all three makes of vehicles. Boy, Jonathan Strahl and Ray Bartnikowski in P11, battling for P11, they are just going at it. Andrew Little in there as well.
Look at that, Ray with just sending it into the carousel, but looks like is that Andrew Little's gonna have a little bit of a run.
Although it looked like he had to brake a little bit early, and that's allowed Jonathan Strahl to get around. Cody Hunley and Randall Ruggles are completely caught up to that pack now. Alex Penn as well. And then even a little bit further behind them, but now in that pack is Daniel Sedino, Steven McClendon, and Volkswagen. Boy, this looks fun. I think that these new touring cars are going to be a big hit in Iowa.
Cody Hunley is giving Jonathan Straw the old chrome horn and was able to make his way past as they came out of the boot.
A little further back, there's a battle for P20 with August Blondel, Eric Stetzer, and Matt Shupka. They've still been sticking to each other. So we do have these packs forming. Meanwhile, up front, Slugnificent now has opened up a 4-second lead on the P2 of Logan McKenzie. So to recap the situation is we have Slugnificent, who is serenely in the lead at 4 seconds over a tight pack battling for P2 as Logan McKenzie, Wojciech Swiridovich, Sam DeVentier, Jerome Bajulas, John Lauzon, and Joseph Etzel. And next time, Chris and Pim will have to call out those names.
Yeah, you're doing great, Peter. Yeah, I was just going to bring up the point, you see on the timing tower that Pim's got up for us the intervals, and obviously the yellow shaded is those closer races, and there's a lot of yellow on those intervals.
Boy, there are.
Sorry, real quick. Alex Penn there in 17th position. He's battling with Randall Ruggles. Alex got into the back of Randall. Looked like he braked just a little bit later, but he was able to save it. That being said, Daniel Sedano is going to be able to make the move on the outside, and that's going to bring Steven McClendon and Volkswagen into contact with these guys who are battling up front. So looks like Randall Ruggles is going to be the victor of that battle for the moment, but he's got Daniel Sedano right on his tail.
Wow.
Yeah, that was I'm sure the pucker factor there was quite high.
I was going to say, the other thing that I think is going to help make these cars so popular is that these are cars that people can just buy, and they can, the kind of normal street-tuned versions. These are cars that are so approachable that way. You can understand them, and I think what we're hearing from people who are getting into the Hyundai or into the Honda is that they're familiar, especially if you own a Civic Type R. It's just fun to be able to do some serious wheel-to-wheel racing just on the sim.
Battle for P2 heating up. Swiridovich made the pass on McKenzie. McKenzie, though, letting Srdovich know that he's still there. Nice little love tap on the bumper. But you can see all the way back there through 7th position. All these drivers can fit under a blanket right now.
Yeah, one thing you wonder about is, it can be a little bit challenging to pass here if you're evenly paced, and so you wonder if any of the cars behind Swiatovich and McKenzie would be able to help tow this whole group to make up some ground on Slugnificent, who's now 4.8 seconds ahead.
In 16th spot, Alex Penn and Randall Ruggles. Looks like they've caught back up to Randall there. Gonna make the pass on the inside. Going down into 1. That's gonna leave the right side a little bit open for Daniel Sedano. And they're gonna go side by side up through the S's, which is no easy feat.
Oh, they're approaching 3 wide.
Tense times here in the battle for 16th.
Whoa! These cars look just really solid and stable into braking and cornering. They look very, very good on track by my eye, at least.
No, agreed, 100%.
Meanwhile, back up, the battle for P11 continues to be waged, and I think every other lap, Jonathan Stroll and Ray Bartnikowski have traded ownership of P11. Right
position,
now,
yeah.
Stroll in P11, but it'll be interesting. They do seem to draft each other going up the hill and exchanging positions, with Andrew Little and D. Cody Hunley then just having a front row seat to the battle behind.
Well, we got a new second place runner here. Logan McKenzie passing Swiatovich. But look at that, getting a bump draft up the hill. This is more like NASCAR than I thought.
Yeah. Well, Ray Bartnikowski has gotten around. Hunting. So they're again looking very, very racy.
Not sure what happened to Josh Penn there.
Yeah.
It was kind of...
Must be in the midst of a tow, unfortunately.
And we did have a crash with Stephen McClendon. Unfortunately, it looks like he was a victim of that bump in the braking zone, and his wheel was hanging on by a thread. So it's like he's probably gonna have to go back.
Well, it's possible we're almost 20 minutes into the 60-minute race. It's possible that the pit window's open, but if I had to guess, I would guess we would have to be at least 25 or maybe close to 30 minutes into the race.
Well, somebody who's probably not so under right now is Slugnificent, because he's worked his way out to a 5.5 second lead. Now, I do wonder I have no concept of what the tire fall off matters here. Like, is an undercut gonna mean anything? For all these drivers who might try to get a few seconds back.
Well, it's really hard to know. You know, it looks like just looking at this battle for P2, things have really shifted around a lot. They are just now. Jerome Bajulas and Logan McKenzie were going side by side, and right behind them, Sam Devantier and Swierdovich. They're.
Oh boy, look at that! They were almost going 3 wide for a second. Yeah, they've really bunched up. In the amount of time we were talking, Slugnificent gained 0.6 seconds.
Yeah.
Just from all the battling going on back here.
Yeah. Well, this is a group of drivers that is not working together to try to win P1. I think they're just battling for P2 now.
And I am noticing on race radio a lot of drivers apologizing to one another, so the atmosphere seems to be cordial, at least for the moment. Ray Bartnikowski just passed the Cody Hunley for 13th position. Ray now up 5 spots overall. Just want to check in with our fellow SNSers, and Matt Shepka, JB DeJoe is right in front of him, and I saw JB pass him not too long ago, so Matt's hanging in there.
Yes, they're battling for P22. And yeah, both looking pretty racy there. We have a battle also for P16, currently held by Volkswagen, but Daniel Sedano is just right on his rear bumper. As they go up the hill, Daniel Sedano is looking like he's getting a little bit of a draft of slingshot. Coming side by side. We come to the top of the hill. And Volkswagen looks like lifted a little bit earlier, but it's getting a great run coming back down the hill. And Randall Ruggles, Eric Stetzer, August Blundell, and John Doble getting a front row seat to that little battle.
Well, you can't say that it hasn't been exciting. This is a lot of passing going on, and so far so clean, I would call it. Again, these drivers seem to be driving with a lot of respect out there. One thing I have noticed, you talked about the balance of power earlier. I'm not seeing a clear, front runner, really. It seems to be a pretty good spread of manufacturers throughout the standings at the moment, so I'm sure people will have their favorites, but that's a good sign.
Yeah, that's a great sign. And the other thing we're not seeing is sometimes, for example, in the GT3 class, there's good balance of power, but sometimes you see that maybe one car is better exiting corners, another car is better at braking, and here these cars are all looking pretty similar as they go around these corners. We're not, at least I'm not able to see. Maybe it feels different if you're actually in the car, but it's hard to see a clear advantage, for example, in accelerating out of a corner or on turn-in or braking from one maker or the other.
Well, this battle for second is not slowing down whatsoever. They're still second through 7th under a blanket, and they just keep trading places. Nobody seems to be able to really break away.
Yeah. They have made up a little bit of time to Slugnificent. They're now 6.3 seconds behind. P1. But they are spending just as much time battling each other as they are trying to catch up to P1. It's fun to watch.
How about this battle for 11th position back here with Andrew Little leading a pack? Jonathan Strahl and Cody Hunley were just right together. And, we had just talked about Ray Bartnikowski had passed Cody Hunley, but he's back behind him now. So Ray looking like he's boosting this pack here in that battle for 11th.
Yeah, Ray Bartnikowski must have had a little bobble or some issue in order to lose those positions that way. But he's sticking with that pack and knows what he has to do.
Quick update on Matt Shepka as well. He's just still maintaining a fairly good distance there to JB DeJoe, and these two are racing to see. He may be trying to work with them to the point we were talking about earlier. John Dobble's 7 seconds ahead of them right now, 7.3 seconds, up to that next race for position. So it would behoove a lot of these packs to just kind of work together for a little bit to start bringing down some of these intervals.
One thing, sometimes drivers like to complain if there's too much of a draft effect, but drivers can equally complain if there isn't enough of a draft effect, and so it'll be interesting to see how that goes with these cars.
We want just the right amount of draft effect.
Right.
Not too much, not too little. Goldilocks zone.
For those that don't know much about Watkins Glen, this is a very well-known racetrack and home for racing for a long time in the United States. In fact, it used to host the Formula One United States Grand Prix many, many years ago.
If you haven't tried the Lotus 79 at Watkins Glen, highly recommend.
Yeah.
We do have our first pit stop takers, by the way. Just thought I'd throw that out there, including some folks who were racing up there for second place and some that were racing for that 11th place that we were talking about. But you can start to see the pit lane getting populated here.
Yeah, we are 28 minutes in, so I'm guessing that was about the time that the fueling window opened. And we are seeing quite a few. John Lauza and Sam Devantier, Richard Tam, August Blondel, Matt Shepka, Cody Hunley, all in the pits now.
Is nobody going to mention that those cars can hoover? They're all taking extra precaution.
I see. I do like they hit the hover button, engage hover. It's enabled to be able to change the tires, I believe. Which, are they changing tires?
Yes, they are.
Yeah, it looks like they are.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
I would not have guessed that. Well, so if that's the case, then that must mean tire wear means at least something.
Yep.
So all these drivers who pit first are going to have a little bit less of that tire life, or maybe a little bit more tire temperature, however you want to look at it, whatever the limiting factor for these tires is later in the race. There you go. One would assume. I don't know. I don't know why you would be taking tires if it wasn't the case. I'm sure it'll be corrected here at some point.
Race leader Significant and the group of drivers Jerome Bajulas, Swerzovich, Logan McKenzie, and Joseph Etzel have decided not to pit this time around, and so they're continuing the battle at least for another lap.
So Devantier is in 18th spot right now in the 999 car. He is he was in that second place battle. So he's our best indicator right now for the pit strategy differences. Gonna keep your eyes on him.
Meanwhile, Jonathan Strahl and Alex Penn have entered into the pits for their first and presumably only fueling stop. Back to Watkins Glen, it is a really storied and highly respected center of motorsports for the United States, and it's also the home of one of the few road course events for NASCAR Cup racing, which is a big deal for you, Chris, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. This is one of my favorite places to go. Not just because it's closest thing I've got, not to my hometown now, but growing up, this was the hometown track, and so I think stock cars on this track are just a beautiful combination, and I really enjoy when we're able to go there.
Yeah, those super powerful NASCAR Cup cars on this track, though, it makes the track feel small. It's as fast as this track is, and as big as it is. Yeah, it's just amazing how powerful those Cup cars are. I find
Yeah,
it pretty scary to drive.
it gets pretty claustrophobic going up the S's at that speed. Um, but yeah, and it's beautiful. By the way, if you ever have an opportunity to go see a race there, any kind of race, they do all sorts of different series. Highly recommend it. The actual area around it, there's actually a Watkins Glen, and that's just down the road from the track, and it's absolutely naturally beautifully gorgeous with good wine, lots of good wine.
Yeah, Slugnificent and most of the people chasing have again bypassed pits, except for Jerome Bajulas is in the pits, and then behind him Eric Stetzer and John Doble. So
right.
Jerome is going out of sequence. Maybe he is going for some kind of undercut. We'll have to see if that helps him escape this pack of Wojciech Swiridovich, Logan McKenzie, and Joseph Etzel.
Yeah, these guys are still going toe-to-toe, because I guess that would be another reason for folks who haven't really done pit stop races before. That would be another reason to pit off cycle of everybody else, or at least attempt to, because it increases all the concentration you have to have, and the stress, and the chances that something could go horribly wrong racing this close to folks. So if you can put yourself out there on the track by yourself and be able to focus on your line in your times and not really have to worry about other folks, that alone could be a huge boost.
I wonder if he had to serve a penalty, or maybe just the tire change. And so now I'm watching Slugnificent is coming into the pits. And so
There
now
we
we'll
go.
look to see if this pack, Wojciech Swiridovich, Logan McKenzie, they are bypassing the pits. And Joseph Etzel as well.
So I've been looking here. It's mid to high 50 seconds for pit stop times. Jerome Bajulas had a 1 minute and 34 second pit. So I don't know if he may be serving a speeding penalty. So that early pit stop, I guess that's the great equalizer, right? Is all your strategies are great until you get that speeding penalty. Now I'm assuming that's what it was.
Yeah,
We'll see.
for viewers that don't know, violating the speed limit in the pit lane is a severe penalty. Typically, in most of the races, you have to be held still in your pit stall for 40 seconds, which is just a killer.
That's about 40 seconds longer than a normal pit stop, so that's why it leads us to believe that is what it is. And keep in mind, the pit road speed limit is 40 miles per hour. Now, the top speed we've been running here tonight is in the 150s, so it feels like you're crawling.
Yep. Volkswagen, JB Deju are in the pits. Joseph Penn. Bill is also in the pits. So we're getting more and more. Of course, the top 8 right now are running top 8, but they have not pitted yet, so we don't really know. The rest of the field has had their first and only refueling stop. So keeping an eye on Wojciech Swiridovich, Logan McKenzie, and Joseph Etzel. You have to assume that they don't have much fuel left. But it looks like all three are going to bypass the pits yet again for another lap.
Interesting. Well, I'm looking at the gaps that we have here. So Slugnificent is only 36 seconds behind the leader right now. So you got to figure he's obviously in a really good spot. But then you look at Devontier as well. He's 44 seconds. Lawson, 47 seconds. So that's going to be right on that. If they're spending almost a minute in pit road, that's about going to be the line. Now, there's other factors in there as well, so it's a rough shot. But
Yep. And, Jerome Bajulas, who was in that P2 battling pack, is, over 40, am I reading this right? Almost 48 seconds back. Or a minute and 23 back. So
yes, a minute 23. Yep.
Yeah, so that penalty, boy, that's super painful.
That's gotta hurt.
Yep.
Yeah, Chaz Weber says ruin your race penalty. That's pretty much what it is.
And so it'll be just super interesting to see when this lead pack of three pits and then where they come out relative to Slugnificent and Sam Devontier. John Lauzon also will be in play at about the time that they emerge from the pits.
Well, Dwardovich is coming up once again on the pit road. Nope. One more go.
Yep. But Logan McKenzie and Joseph Etzel are coming into the pits.
We'll see if the remainder of these drivers are on Ray Bartnikowski included in the pack of drivers who have yet to pit.
And it does look like Andrew Little and Ray Bartnikowski are in the pits, and so that means that we have Wojciech Swiridovich, Jorge Zuniga, and Daniel Cedeno as P1, 2, and 3, and also the only three cars who have yet to stop for fuel.
That checks. Significant. His gap continues to decrease, as you probably imagined. Actually, so is Sam Devontier. So,
Yeah.
this is going to be fun to see where everybody ends up coming out.
Yeah, I think Logan McKenzie and Joseph Etzel are also in play here. And so, Wojciech Swiridovich, Jorge Zuniga, and Daniel Cedeno really have to hurry up here if we want a chance to stay on in podium positions after their pit stops.
I was just thinking about it. It may take so long to fuel the car that it just makes sense to take tires anyway. That could be a thing. Could be wrong though.
Yeah, I think on the Discord, someone was saying that that there isn't any special race fueling equipment on these touring cars. It is just like refueling your car at your local gas station. So I can imagine that I'm always annoyed at how long it takes to fill up my car.
Right. Okay, so it looks like Jorge Zuniga has come in, so that's going to leave Swiridovich as the... Oh no, Cedeno. He's also coming in though.
Yeah.
So I was right. I just didn't know it yet. Swiridovich is the last driver to pit. One thing that is sticking out to me as I look at all the data here, everybody who's in the top 16, their pit stops are somewhere in the mid to high 50s. So I think that goes a long way. Everybody else has had slower pit stops, and it put them that far behind.
Interesting.
Some of those look like they may be penalty based. Some of them maybe just a little bit slower.
Well, because of those pit stops, Slugnificent is now back up to P2 and 33 seconds behind Wojciech Swiatowicz. And, assuming that Wojciech will have to pit this lap or maybe the lap after, he'll really be in a battle with Sam Devantier, Logan McKinsey, and Joseph Etzel to maintain that second position.
Oh, Ray Bartnikowski's out.
Oh.
What happened there? I did not get a accident notification, but he is definitely. I heard wrecking on the front stretch, and that was Ray into the barrels for pit road.
Oh, it looks like he just was a little bit too wide on that last turn, and then just spun and crashed into the pit entry.
Oh, man, you hate that.
Yep.
Heartbreak.
Meanwhile, Wojciech Swiatowicz is in the pits.
There we go. So we'll see where he's able to ultimately come out here.
Yep.
As that gap ticks down and all he can do is drive 40 miles an hour.
Right. Meanwhile, coming
Yeah,
around
no.
the last turn is Magnificent.
There's 35, 37 seconds. 40.
And Sam Devantier is just also now on the front straight.
So that's going to work out pretty well. So that big shocker here, Swiatowicz's pit stop was 10 seconds faster than pretty much everybody else. He had a 45-second pit stop. So took significantly less fuel.
What make of car is Swiatowicz driving? It seems to get great fuel mileage.
Seriously. I think that's the Hyundai. He must have the hybrid version.
Well, now, with every driver having presumably taken on enough fuel to finish the race, and there's 17 minutes left, we have Slugnificent in the lead with a 4-second lead over Wojciech Swiatowicz, and then Sam Devantier, Logan McKinsey, and Joseph Etzel in positions 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah, so definitely helped to spread out the field. We got a good battle here. This is the closest one with Jonathan Strahl in P9 and Alex Penn. Jonathan Strahl's up 6 spots. Trying to find who our biggest mover and shaker of the day is. It looks like John Dobel. He's up 10 spots into P15. And looking to get yet another one there with Eric Statzer in 14th position.
There's a pretty good battle also. Richard Tam is holding P6. He's up 7 spots. But Jacob Wally is giving him quite a bit of pressure. So we have seen that the pit stops are very meaningful for these cars. And
Yeah,
this track.
we really spread the field out, eh?
You know, in getting ready for this broadcast, Pim, it seems like Watkins Glen is one of these picturesque tracks, lots of nice hills and sweeping turns and so on. Must have been fun to set up the cameras.
Oh, yeah, I really like this this track. It's a lot more colorful. I think it's also good that the sun is shining over here, but I think that's always here. But that's significant. Strange name, but is that an alien? He is really quick.
They don't seem to have an answer for him here, at least in this car track combo.
Yeah, he's back up to a 6-second lead over Swiridovich. I've been keeping a close eye on this battle for P6. Richard Tam and Jacob Wally, they have been...
Yeah, they've been doing pretty good.
Yeah. Jacob Wally's looking maybe a little faster, but not fast enough to yet make the pass.
One thing racing road course like this, you can be better in some sections and worse in others than the driver that you're battling with. So sometimes you really got to set your passes up in those sections of the track that you can take faster than the driver in front of you. So that some of that I might imagine might be at play here as well. Although we can see Tam really nicely pulling out a little bit of a gap there.
I have my hands full racing Skip Barber Formula 2000s and Ferrari GT3 cars, but watching this makes me want to try these cars out. This is looking fun.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, these guys are definitely making me a believer.
Yeah. I'm seeing...
for the-
oh, go ahead.
Are we going to say Blondel and Volkswagen?
Yeah, yes.
For P12?
Yeah. It looks like Volkswagen is getting a great tow going up the hill. He's going to try to get a slingshot around the outside. It looks difficult, but as they go around the carousel, door to door, and now down the hill, I think Volkswagen will have a better line, a better entry line being on the inside. And indeed, Volkswagen, Blondel has to back off.
And they were just giving each other a verbal high five there.
Yeah, keeping it safe like that, that was great. And just ahead of them is the group of three: Alex Penn, Jonathan Strahl, Andrew Little. They've really just stayed together the entire race.
I think we're trying to get a special guest here in the broadcast booth if we can. Welcome to Ray Bartnikowski. Can you hear us? Nope.
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, hey, there you go. Hey, man. Hey, that was rough. It looked like you had a pretty solid race going there. Just a little bit of oversteer coming out of the final turn.
Yeah,
Or understeer, I suppose.
I forgot lap one on fresh fronts is a little hairy, and I just pushed a little too hard.
So Ray, tell us a little bit, first off, about this newly rescanned Watkins Glen, and then a little bit about the cars.
It's pretty good. It's weird not being able to run out forever on one, but you can run out forever on a couple of other corners. And that bump at the end of the back straight is just murder.
Yeah. I was saying, Ray, I did some laps on this newly rescanned track in a Ferrari GT3 car, and boy, if you time your braking with that bump in just the wrong way, you are in a big heap of trouble.
These cars are really interesting with the front wheel drive in that if you get loose there and you get the back end out, you can power through it with the gas. Just counter steer into it and slam the gas down and it'll straighten out.
Yeah, I didn't see that with the Ferrari. Of course, the baseline setups for the Ferrari are so stiffly sprung, and so maybe with a slightly softer damping, it might work better.
Yeah, it's unique to the front wheel drive cars. I had to do that on a couple corners there on the last side. What do you guys think of this league so far?
I've been really impressed with the the racing, and then everybody seems on the chat very kind, and it seems to be some good sportsmanship.
I'm super impressed with the quality of racing these guys are bringing. giving each other space. They're working with each other. They're not pushing overly aggressively. It was a lot of fun up until the crash.
Well, at the same time, they are really racing hard with each other. We've seen just a lot of side-by-side racing. In fact, I'm just watching Joseph Etzel and Sam Devantier. They're really trying to keep up with Logan McKenzie, battling for that last podium position. And then, right behind them, we have Jacob Wally, Richard Tam, and Jorge Zuniga that are going side by side in a carousel. And it's impressive just to see people keeping it safe. Oh, and even in that horrible left-hander that just induces all sorts of understeer, they're going side by side.
Can you talk a little bit about what the car handles like? Because we've been seeing a lot of bumping and banging, whether it's the front and rear bumper or just the door to door, if you will. It didn't look like anything malicious. I'm just wondering about what the car handles like when that happens, because they seem to be pretty stable.
I couldn't tell you with the bumping. We were pretty clean in that little pod that I was.
Really clean. Okay.
Something I find interesting with these cars is, unlike the GT3s, there is definitely a draft effect, and it's a huge window. Like, I was seeing benefits from the draft from a second and a half back.
Wow. It wasn't that
Interesting.
easy to see from just our viewpoint here, but that's incredible. That's great, in fact.
We really noticed it in open quali. I had Randall Ruggles right behind me, and he was maybe a second to a second and a half behind me for the whole lap, but he made up half a second on me just with that draft, and he thanked me for it.
Well, we're
Well,
getting
Aaron,
down to,
we're getting down to it. Matt Shepka just made a pass not too long ago, and Eric Statzer there for P17. So good job, Matt, out there. He's up 7 spots total. Still plugging away.
And John Doble is up 10 spots, running in P15, and now trying to chase down Jerome Bajulas, who, if you remember, was running P2 for quite a long time before getting that pit speed violation.
Yep, laps are ticking down. We're inside of 7 minutes now, running about 2-minute laps. 4 more laps or so. So this is, looks like most of the places are settled, but as the second stint has gone on, cars have begun finding each other once again. And you can kind of see that playing out on the timing tower. Jonathan Strahl and Andrew Little right now for that final top 10 position. This battle's been pretty good.
Andrew joked a little earlier during the stint to have the stewards check the width on Jonathan's Civic, said it was about 2 feet too wide.
Oh, that's good though. I think that's your point. It seems like every position is earned, but yeah, I've heard a lot of like, hey, nice pass, and thanks and all that. So they'll race each other hard, but they know.
Back in the battle for P3, it looks like Joseph Etzel has gotten a great run going up the hill, and is going to get ahead cleanly before the carousel. Great effect. So there, Ray, I think we saw that draft effect big time there.
I ran a practice session with Richard Tam earlier this week, and it seems kind of like a mirage, that it doesn't feel like it's a really good passing zone there, but it's been sticking pretty well in this race.
It seems a little, and I don't know if the lines up well, but it seems tricky to break late with that bump that y'all are talking about. If you're going to be sending it into one of the corners there, that seems like a goofy one to do it, but to your point, they've been making it work.
Boy, this battle also for P6. This is the next group of three. Jorge Zuniga, Richard Tem, Jacob Wally. They are. It's interesting just to see these groups of three cars that are just really having it out.
I'm glad to see such a spread in the results. There's been a lot of complaining about the Civic since it's been released and how bouncy it is and it's weaker than the other two. But it looks like there's a pretty diverse field here.
Mm-hmm.
You got Honda in front, Honda behind them, and Honda behind that.
So if my math is
Volts.
right, I think we have 3 laps to go.
Check out that P12 battle with Volkswagen, August Blondel. I've had my eye on that. They've been going a little bit back and forth there, but yeah, this is probably your last chance to try to get some passes made. Oh, he's gonna go way off.
Ooh, way off. Yep. So Ray, going way outside on the exit of T1 has been a staple of this track on the iRacing service. And looks like August Blundell is getting a great run on Volkswagen going up the hill. But now it's a 1X off track. What do you think about that?
I like it. I prefer it to super abusing the track limits.
Yeah.
But you can still make it work for you. There's still a benefit for going out that wide.
Right.
There is a slowdown out there, but it's super far out there.
I don't know if you saw the slow car there on the carousel. That was Alex Penn.
Oh, that wheel is messed up.
Meanwhile,
It looks like it was the bump.
the battle for the final podium position rages on. Joseph Etzel is still holding it down, but Logan McKenzie is not letting go, and then Sam Devantier is just lying in wait. So, if I'm reading the timing right, this next time around, the drivers will be receiving the white flag, signaling the last lap of the race. Oh, Logan McKenzie's trying to get a good run, but is having to back off for the carousel. I think this battle for P3 is really the most significant one, and maybe the closest one on track right now.
We do have Matt Shepka trying to pass Cody Hunley for 15th position, but other than that, yeah, that's it's actually some really holy cow. It's tough to take your eyes off the battle for the last podium spot, though, I'll tell you what.
They are catching up, that group of 3, to 2 back markers, or to 1 back marker, Corey Fluke. And so that could come into play. And Wojciech Swiridowicz seems to have slowed down. I wonder if Wojciech is... Corey Fluke is moving out of the way, but Wojciech, I wonder if Wojciech is having to conserve fuel or something.
And you were right, Significant just took the white flag, by the way, so this will be the last lap once they cross the start-finish line for all the drivers.
I never would have guessed I'd be in a race with a guy named Slugnificent, but he is.
But here you are.
At least we know how to pronounce Magnificent. Wojciech Swiridowicz will probably mangling that name. So now, Logan McKenzie has gotten a great run coming up the hill, right behind Joseph Etzel. It's sort of do or die.
Nice little wiggle there. He's looking. And they are right on Swordovich, by the way. I think you're right. I think he's out of gas.
Yeah.
Or close to it. These guys have closed that gap pretty significantly.
Wow. Yeah, something is definitely not right with Swordovich. Yeah, and we've all been there, especially on a bigger track like this. You can be, a quarter of a lap short on fuel. Your crew chief can tell you that, and you're just having to short shift and brake a little bit early, and just pray that you won't sputter before the finish line.
Or 3 more corners now. Oh! And Kenzie's gonna go off wide.
Well, now Joseph Etzel is just right on Wojciech Skordovich's bumper. Oh, 2 more corners here.
Does he have enough fuel in the tank? Looks like he will actually make it. Unreal. Nice race by those drivers. Back in that P6, P7, P8 is the next great battle. Specifically Richard Tam.
Yeah, Jacob Wally.
Jacob Wally.
Good run out, and looks like just fall a little bit short.
Boom.
Drag race.
Volkswagen in P11 with August Blondell and Jerome Bajulaz.
Yeah, and John Doble. Yep. Again, just and so close. But Volkswagen holds on to P11 over Jerome Bajulaz.
Is Matt Shepka going to be able to get Dakota Henley? No, right at the line.
So close there, too.
Well, that was fun.
Fantastic racing. It was strategic, just lots of, as you were saying, Chris, early on, we just saw a lot of Robbins racing going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's definitely my favorite style, but to Ray's point, I never got the sense that it was aggressive, overly aggressive or dirty or anything like that, which makes it all the much better. The fact that everybody seems to be happy after the race is unique. But either way, I 100% agree with you. I obviously won't be able to race for quite a bit, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to be jumping in these cars as soon as I get a chance. That looked like a heck of a lot of fun.
I think that these cars are going to be a big hit for the iRacing service, and we're going to see a lot of really top drivers jumping in.
Have you guys spoken to the league format at all as far as their schedule goes?
No. Go ahead.
So they're off for the holidays. They will be back in action on July 3rd. And most of their races are not hour-long races like this. Their next race is at Laguna Seca, and it is 2 heats and a feature sprint races. The 2 heats are 15 minutes, and the feature is 30.
Oh, wow. So they mix it up quite a bit there, huh?
It looks like every 3rd race or every 4th race is one of the longer ones.
These cars at Laguna Seca sound like fun. Tons of fun.
But just to make sure, Chris, you were telling us that it's going to be fun. This was hard work. This was like 32 cars making such, and you guys did an amazing job on commenting. But I do have to say, those drivers, what a safety was in there. I didn't see that many crashes with that many cars and that much close racing. I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was a very great example, and I'm hoping some people see this and want to check out Alpha Touring Challenge, because it looks like they have a great product that they're putting out there.
Absolutely, it was just great racing, and it just seemed super competitive, just up and down the field. whether you're battling for a P23 or P2, P11, it was just great racing anywhere in this field.
Well, I've got to get running, but hey, Ray, really sorry that your race ended early, but really appreciate you making us aware of this, and hopefully you guys get something fun to watch us butcher all your names, and but that really is great. I'm really hoping to look forward to checking this league out myself here this summer when I'm able to get back to my rig.
Absolutely, and happy holidays to everyone. Hopefully everyone's getting some time away from work. Gives you more time to do some iRacing.
I think that's a great one to close down with. I'm concluding that as well. Wish everybody a very happy Christmas, and we will see each other very soon.